Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Call Me AI podcast, where I focus on AI video, the creator economy, and thought leaders like Carolyn Bao. Right now, in my business, I'm doing two things. I'm coding AI and consulting. So, my calendar link is public on LinkedIn. Feel free to get in touch. But let's spend the rest of this time talking with Carolyn. Carolyn, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure, Jay-Z. So glad to connect with you again. I know, and so glad to be here with everyone. I'm currently working as the VP of Marketing for AppsFlyer in the North America region. My main expertise include mobile marketing strategy, marketing measurement, go-to-market, and entrepreneurship. So leading AppsFlyer in this role, it's been wonderful because AppsFlire's mission is super aligned with my personal mission, which is using data to help more companies and marketers to make better decisions, particularly as the economy in general is shifting more from growing at all costs to driving growth with much more measured, well calculated risk versus reward analysis. Super happy to be here. I can't wait to share with everybody about my experience driving growth at some of the probably well-known large brands, Meta, Yahoo, Visa, etc., and also advisor of a lot of startups.
Awesome. I know you speak widely in the AI community. And so we've talked a little bit about some of the mistakes that startups make. And I know they're unavoidable, right? Like, as a founder, you have to make some of these mistakes to get to the next stage. But in your advising and in your professional roles, can you tell us about some of those growth mistakes?
Yeah, for sure. AI definitely has been one of the hottest topics for us as practitioners, but also for me as a startup advisor. What I have seen though is if we kind of peel the onion a bit more, no, putting AI aside, all startups in general will be faced with a few challenges. The first challenge is articulating what problem the business is set out to solve for. Because I teach entrepreneurship for MBA students for several years now. I've noticed when we ask our students and startup founders when I advise them, this is one area where the problem statement is either too broad or too convoluted, if you will. This is one problem. The second problem is once you have figured out that you have a good technology that solves a very specific problem, the go to market strategy and go to market execution is not always well thought through. So either they're going with the punches or they do not have a plan and everything goes. And the third issue that I have noticed startups tend to make is reinventing the wheel and not thinking through some of their what I call sort of a decision making fundamentals. Because as we, for a small example, as we start growing our business, oftentimes, even to this date, something that I advise our tens of thousands of customers is how do you really think about your first party data strategy? If we have all our customer data logged on a spreadsheet, not really thinking about how to use it later down the road, then our decision making internally tend to be a lot more slower. It is much more fragmented. I'll pause right here just to summarize. Articulating problems well, having a clear go to market strategy and execution, and the third is first party data strategy, tend to be three areas I've seen really create hiccups for startups.
Thanks, Carolyn. I'm going to put on the rhinestone glasses because you talked about not articulating the problem well. And, anyone in the audience, if you're a founder and, want to understand more about that, please comment your questions. But I'm going to give you my question, Carolyn, which is, are founders articulating the problem with users, or are they often kind of on their own in their heads?
Yeah, this is a very good question. More often than not, virgin startup founders, or even entrepreneurs, people who are, kind of entrusted to lead something within a company, if they're doing this the first time, you are going to see more founders tend to assume I have a problem, other people must also have a problem. And this is danger number one, because we are a sample size of one. Please do not assume all other people have the same problem. Segway was a very, very obvious and
Mm.
frequently quoted example of a bad product idea. I mean, to be true, lo and behold, now it is still here. It didn't go away, but initially when they thought about this problem must be quite prevalent, and they can charge arm and a leg, just didn't really work out. I think the second problem is
This is the
though,
scooters, right?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was really neat, but definitely not everybody needed it, as an example, right?
Yeah. So that's like a solution chasing a problem.
It's like assuming everybody else all have this need. The other typical um, problem is when startup founders had a problem statement and they validate it with their family and friends. That's also a danger, because there is a thing called the mom test. If I always run this by my mom wanted to encourage me. She's always going to say, "That sounds great, such a great idea." So a very famous story about this podcaster. Also, he had talked about mom test. Is his mom really loves cooking? So he said, "Mom, I want to do a cooking app. What do you think?" "That sounds great, honey." So he went ahead and created this app. Went back Christmas to realize his mom still had the habit of using cookbooks underneath the kitchen island. So his app actually did not address her needs, but it was because mom loves him unconditionally. So we always advise our students and founders, do not do the problem statement test against your friends and family. In fact, you may think, let's say Jay Z, you and I know each other. I think Jay Z, I have a great idea, but you are my friend. I may have to specifically exclude you, even if you are kind of roughly fit within the demographic descriptions that we thought would be our ideal customers.
That's amazing because I always tell founders that you have to live it to solve it. In the beginning, you're going to make those mistakes as quickly as possible, but then you get to the point where you actually talk to experts like you and you solve the growth problem in the right way. So thank you.
Yeah. The third way is the best way, which is create an idea and articulate the problem statement, and do some sort of segmentation and identify one or two key segments, then interview them, document what they say in their own words of the things, what is their pain, what are the things they want to accomplish. Come back and consolidate your notes. You will actually have a much better success rate just to even articulate the problem better. Then it goes on, which we also teach our startup founders, is to think about the prototype methodology so that you can de-risk your startup. You do not even have to build your product. You actually sketch it out, and it could be on piece of paper and pencil, using pencil to sketch it out on the paper and say, if I build something like this, would you pay? If I ask you for
Yeah.
$5 today, would you pay?
So I like to do that with actually a marketing landing page and seeing if we can get signups. So what do you think about starting with marketing instead of user experience design? Like, is that something that can help a startup figure out their growth plan even before the UX and the wireframes and the feature set?
It is possible, especially if the idea itself is quite new. One of the classic examples of success in that regard is the fake door approach done by Robinhood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you recall, Jay Z, before Robinhood came about, retail stock trading always required a commission fee. So anytime you bought and sold stocks, you have to pay commission to the broker, to the brokerage firms. On the other hand, however, Robinhood launched a sign-up page that said, add your name and you would be entered into a waiting list. So when
Right.
Robinhood does launch, you trade stocks for free. And by the time Robinhood was launched, actually before it was launched, the waiting list itself had about 500,000 people sign up.
I love that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite anecdotes. So
That's right.
amazing. Do
So
you
marketing, yeah,
go
marketing
ahead?
can lead. So marketing can lead a solution development in a way if you really have strategically thought this through.
Well, let's move on to the web versus mobile marketing space. I've worked on a lot of mobile apps for enterprise, and so usually there's a web
Hmm.
first component, and then there's a mobile component. But sometimes there's a mobile first component, and you never really get to web because on mobile you can serve so many amazing personalized notifications and recommendations. So I know you have experience in both. Tell us about ROI on web versus mobile, or where you can start versus where you can scale up.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. It's something I've noticed, and I really wish to help more brands to realize that their investment in mobile is really going to give them better returns. So I grew up in the sort of web economy, was, selling and later buying ads on web, and I ran website itself as a sort of core marketing property for several years. I know a lot of brands are very, very well invested in web because that's sometimes 80%, 70% of their revenue come from web, or even when they say mobile, it's mobile websites. But mobile app, uh, I've dived into mobile economy for so long. I think it is super critical to highlight mobile users in general, demonstrated about 3 to 5x more lifetime value than web users. And with web itself, so there are a couple of things that are fundamentally different, and that's why mobile users is really where the B2C brands in particular need to really invest in. The first is web users. They are going to be not able for you to go back and reach out to them because there isn't such a way as push notification for your web users to come back. I mean, you can do remarketing because it costs money. The second piece is for mobile users, there is a much more coherent way to really ensure the customer experience is much smoother because a lot of the content you can consume while offline, and a lot of the content you can consume and you can drive the user to do the desired behavior, such as, hey, please refer your friends with the unique personally identifiable URL. And the third piece is mobile, in fact, becomes a sort of interactive platform that the brands can easily communicate with their users. In fact, in my previous job, leading marketing for a B2C app, we frequently conduct in app surveys to understand our users' sentiment, preferences, which help us both on product design and in creating data driven PR articles.
Yeah, I love that because, in the mobile apps I've launched, I always know who logged in, right? It's the same user. But on web, you could be on a different browser using a different like Google identity. I have no idea how long you stayed there and, once the cookie expires, like who you exactly are. But on mobile, I know exactly you're the same person and you've looked through these screens and you went back and forth. So I love how mobile gives you that true, authentic connection with the user.
For sure. There's one thing I want to call out also in developing mobile. I did notice that there are two fundamentally different from web. One is how do you kind of orchestrate your user growth strategy is different because the set of media platforms where you traffic your ads, how you think about running your ads and optimizing your user acquisition campaigns it's different from the web. Second thing that's also very interesting is your entire data strategy, how you make sure the way how you collect the data from the leads to customers, as well as how do you consolidate the data so that your paid media product manager and your email marketing teams can all work in concert. uh, I think it's actually a lot easier with mobile, but if you obviously invest properly, ultimately you want to consolidate all the signals. So that's an area I find the brands that have thought about leveraging this holistic data strategy, they really do have a leg up. In fact, a lot of the companies that's in AppsFlire's customer base are designating CDOs more so than other brands, chief data officer. And that's an area that I find fascinating. And I really want to advocate for more brands to really think through their data strategy.
Thanks for that. So I could think of an example like a coupon or limited time offer that's a deep link from an email that goes to the app, and then the user opens the deep link and sees like, oh, countdown, like on Shein or Temu, right? Like 5 seconds left to get, a free item. So that's the one that pops to mind. But the cutting edge in the industry. Are there any examples you can share without like having to kill us? Like any examples you can share that are cutting edge?
I think there are a couple of things I would say. One is more cutting edge, probably. That's something I was super excited when it was first launched, is this ability to use all the data from the mobile campaigns so that as a bigger brand, I can do a speed test of my advertising creative and concept. The reason is, in my past, so let me first tell you about how it was and why I'm super excited. In my past life, we ran campaigns across many channels, and we would frequently have about 100 or more variations of ads. They could be very simple. It's all about like open the app, open an account with us, and you get, let's say, $50 back, whatever. And these ads have many permutations, different, images and whatever. It was really painful to consolidate the performance of all these ads across many platforms so that we can have a better idea for what do we produce next month, next quarter, next week, what messaging is really resonating. And so this new product that I think is super cutting edge is using AI so that all the creative assets you have launched, you can very quickly understand which particular messaging and what kind of creative elements are working better for you than others. This is a new product that my company AppsFlyer has launched. It's called Creative Optimization product. When I first heard it, I was shocked because, no joke, I spent about 18 months in my old job trying to convince business intelligence, product management, growth PM. I needed it, and it was always told by various teams that stitching this data together was impossible.
Yeah, tell us more. So, for example, if I set up one campaign, does your AI create all the hundreds of programmatic permutations, or do I come with all the permutations and then your software will track the highest performing? Or give us an example.
Yeah, this for the App Store solution, this particular product primarily does the data sort of logging and data reflection to you. But in terms of getting that 100 permutations, that is already possible with Google USC campaign, with the Facebook automated bidding campaigns. Obviously, TikTok has also been known for having a lot of the AI enabled creative products. So for advertisers, this day and age, compared to myself, like let's say 10, 12 years ago, it is much easier to come up with all those permutations. What's difficult is, now that we have run all these ads, which one works better? Every platform is going to say mine works better than others. We can already insert a keyword X platform. Some platform says last click attribution is bad, etc. So there are a lot of different perspectives, it is critical to use a third party who's neutral and say, we're going to log everything, but you tell us what your success definition really is. In this case, let's pretend we are in Shein, and our success rate is we want to sell more of those rhinestone glasses, right? That we create an in-app conversion event. We can use that conversion event then to infer back to all those 100 different permutations to understand maybe this ad featuring Jay-Z with maybe a cat photo in the back, whatever, you standing on the beach, all of those elements will tell you that that combo seems to really produce a better ROAS for you.
I see. So there's a UTM link from the ad that attributes back to the click or add to cart or purchase. And in app, you can track all of that for the brand.
Yeah, the in the web marketing realm, it's the UTM. In the mobile realm, it's called deep linking. So making sure that this pair of rhinestone glasses would be associated with a unique page ID in the mobile app itself would be the deep linking. Then that helps to really unify all of your data points wherever you show this page. It could be even a web to app campaign.
Well, that sounds really interesting. I know we have a lot of data nerds in the audience, so if you're shy, you can always text me your question, but feel free to post it live here. I think, how do we sell that into leadership? What is kind of a case study or an example that gets executives aligned on that?
In terms of the data side or in terms of the investing in mobile?
Investing in mobile first and then deep linking.
Yeah, it's so true. I think one of the key things is to really understand the benefits because there are actually a lot of studies have shown, acquiring users. One of the first things to think about is when you acquire users, 55% of them will churn. So it's sort of a leaky bucket, almost with any app. It's just a sort of human nature. How do you get them back requires all brands to have a pretty well thought through retargeting campaign. And the brands that do use mobile deep linking in their retargeting, in their marketing campaigns, all have seen just overall much better return than others. So there was actually a data about, I think the revenue itself, many of our clients have seen, but there are examples of having the right mobile deep linking would really increase the revenue by double-digit percentage, and the app open ratio itself can increase up to also a double-digit percentage. So if money ultimately, if we need to justify, it is fairly straightforward to think about your average revenue per user multiplied by the incremental lift that this technology will drive for you, mobile deep linking in this context, or overall mobile. In general, it's a 3 to 5x more average revenue per user. It does become much easier. I think the last thing I would probably just highlight is with these AI tools becoming more user-friendly, there is also an increasing trend of using AI to rapidly develop apps, which then significantly reduce two things. One is the cost of developing an app from scratch. Second is the reliance on leveraging a third-party app developer who sort of maintains your mobile app. This was a concern by some of the traditional brands previously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hope no code goes to mobile, but in terms of AI speeding up the coding process, are you talking about like ChatGPT generating React code? Or are you talking about something else? I'm curious.
It's more towards that. So in the example that our PM has been just informing us about, and I won't pretend to be the expert, what I understand for our PM is in the past, if a developer needs to review codes and try to figure out how to sort of stress test their codes, this was a very manual process. Now, with the Gen AI tools, they can put this in the ChatGPT or other tools and say review this code for me, or even
Mm,
ask it to leverage some of the latest coding principles, review, create. They could just seed like few hundreds of lines of codes and say this is what I want to do, and you can maybe tell them here are the desired outcomes. Supposedly you can shorten the dev cycle by a significant amount.
awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great use case. I see a lot of, I mean, I use it every day. I see a lot of Y Combinator startups coming out with, code generators, AI code generators. Well, we're
Yeah.
wrapping up. Carolyn, think about your last, thing that you want to leave us with or a call to action. And in the meantime, I'll say for all the AI founders out there, you often think about web first because it's cheap and easy, but then you have like a million users on the first day and they never come back. Right. So think about how you can make an app that's more of a monthly, weekly, even daily active habit instead of a one hit wonder where people are just going to the next competitor tomorrow. Like, really think about the value that you can add on a daily, weekly, monthly, recurring, retained, loyal, paying, like perspective. I think that's what Carolyn is alluding to, that right now investors aren't, hopping to the next one hit wonder. They're looking for that $1 million annual recurring revenue to even start. So I will just put that out there for the audience. And audience, if you have any questions, I know it's scary to comment live, but please comment before Carolyn wraps up. Carolyn, any last call to action to get in touch with you or AppsFlyer?
Yeah, thank you, JZ. You have summarized it pretty well. It is that really think through what your ongoing business model is. If your ongoing business model really requires you to frequently engage with your customers, and you believe that they will get value from you on an ongoing basis in a
Mm-hmm.
more interactive method, definitely think about where you build it on the web versus mobile. Data have shown more than 60% of the online user browsing occur on mobile, and last year mobile already overtook web in terms of where people had placed their Black Friday orders. And
Mm.
this is sort of a pivotal year. It's been really changing. So really think about your eventual revenue and monetization platform versus the way how your business is built. The second thing I would just really highlight is don't be sort of uh, scared in terms of the tools and whatnot that you need to build the right way of doing things, because de-risking is critical, and a lot of those tools are becoming a lot easier. So even if you do not know enough about web or mobile, there is plenty of content there to learn. I have become extremely passionate about helping more people to make better go-to-market strategy using web, mobile, console, any platform, multi-platform go-to-market. And that is where I'm more than happy to advise startups. So if they want to be in touch with me, they can contact me on LinkedIn. They can find my profile in your post, as well as in search for me in terms of go to market. Um, I'll I'll let you share with the audience of my LinkedIn profile so that they can be able to connect with me going forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for demystifying a pretty complex topic and uh, sharing the ROI of data and mobile. 3 to 5x revenue is really desirable in this economy. So, thank you.
For sure. Sounds great, Jay-Z. Good luck with
Okay.
also your coding efforts. I love to see what you have launched when you are ready.
Yeah, definitely. Let's stay on and we'll talk some more about, feedback on the podcast. But I'm going to end the live stream now. And anyone who has questions for Carolyn on her growth strategies, feel free to get in touch with her directly. All
Sounds great.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.